Hi everyone, welcome to our first session of the fall semester. The topic of our presentation today is the human body and the immune system. You may be wondering, what is the human body and immune system? Well, the human body is a very complex structure made up of various cells that interact to complete many different functions that are required to sustain life. The immune system is made up of different organs, cells, and proteins, and it protects the human body from harmful outside invaders, such as bacteria, toxins, and viruses. We will start off by talking about the human body. The first topic we will cover is cells.
Okay, so we'll start with talk about cells. The four main types of cells in our body are epithelial, nerve, muscle, and connective tissue, which we will now talk about in detail. Epithelial cells line your skin and cover the interior of some organs, such as your digestive organs or blood vessels. Nerve cells help communicate signals with all your cells in your body, such as your brain with your muscles. Muscle cells shorten and contract to create movement in your body. For example, they help move your arms and legs. Lastly, connective tissue cells provide structural support in your organs and body. However, there are many other types of cells in your body, about 200 types in total. Some of the other types of cells, which are in the picture on the right, include stem cells, bone cells, sex cells, and more.
Now let's talk about tissues. Tissues are organized into four broad categories based on structural and functional similarities. These categories are epithelial, connective, muscle, and nervous. The primary tissue types work together to contribute to the overall health and maintenance of the human body. Thus, any disruption in the structure of a tissue can lead to injury or disease. Connective tissue, as its name implies, supports other tissues and binds them together. Epithelial tissues refers to groups of cells that cover the exterior surfaces of the body. Muscle tissues contract forcefully, and when they're excited, they provide movement, allowing you to move. And nervous tissues allow for nerve cells to carry out messages to and from various parts of the body. Next, we'll talk about the organs.
In the human body, there are many different organs that make up the body systems. Organs are a collection of tissue that function in a certain way to help the body system do its job. The major organs are the brain, heart, kidneys, liver, and lungs. You most likely know all these organs and what they help you to do. These are the most vital organs of the body. For example, your liver is connected to your digestive system, while your brain is connected to your nervous system. There are many other organs in your body, including your lymph nodes, arteries, muscles, gallbladder, skeleton, intestines, bladder, pancreas, veins, stomach, bone marrow, spleen, and much more. In total, there are about 78 organs in your body, all helping you to function properly. Next, we'll dig deeper into body systems.
Starting off, what is a system? As defined by the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, a system is a regularly interacting or interdependent group of items forming a unified whole. Or in English, when different components react and work together to do something. A bodily system is when different parts of your body all work and flow together to help your body function properly and to keep you alive and well. So what are the systems in your body and what do they do? There are 11 main systems in the human body. The skeletal system is made up of bones and along with the muscular system, focuses on movement and posture of the body. The cardiovascular system is responsible for the circulation of blood and oxygen taken in through the respiratory system. The nervous system is responsible for movement and response to outside or internal stimuli. The digestive system starts with eating and is responsible for nutrition, and eventually will come out in one or two ways. One is finishing the digestive tract as solid waste, feces, or excess liquid, which is filtered in the urinary system and exits in the form of urine. There is also the lymphatic system, based around the circulation of fluid in your spine to the rest of your body, which is part of a larger immune system. The reproductive system, reproduces and is responsible for keeping the population of Earth and creating new humans. Finally, there is the integumentary system, which is made up of skin, teeth, nails, and hair to protect your more inward organs from outside dangers and harshities. Now that you know a little bit about what a system is overall and what the different systems are, now we will hear more in detail about some of the systems mentioned, starting with the Integumentary System.
Okay, so the first system is the Integumentary System. This is the biggest body system, and it consists of your hair, skin, and nails. And like Rowan mentioned, it kind of protects you against anything from the outside. So like last semester we talked about burns and like skin injuries and stuff.
The skeletal system. Babies are born with 270 bones. As the child becomes an adult, the bones fuse together, condensing the amount of bones from 270 to 206 bones. At around age 21, bone mass reaches its highest density.
Okay, and then next we have the muscular system. And so there are three types of muscles. There are skeletal muscles, smooth muscles, and cardiac muscles. And some examples of muscles include deltoids, your abdomen, triceps, biceps, your heart, quadriceps, and also the latissimus dorsi. And then we also have the lymphatic system. For this system, we'll talk about it later because it pertains to the immune system.
First off, in the respiratory system, there are airways, in which the figure to the right are drawn as a reddish tube stretching from the figure's mouth and nose down to their lungs, which are the large red organs pictured. There are also blood vessels that are pictured in multiple different colors in the picture to the right inside the lung. The respiratory system helps you intake oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide, which is key to survival, as your vital organs need oxygenated blood to function.
The digestive system includes the mouth, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum, and anus. It also includes the salivary glands, liver, gallbladder, and pancreas, which make digestive juices and enzymes that help the body digest food and liquids.
The nervous system is the major controlling, regulatory, and communicating system in the body. It is the center of all mental activity, including thought, learning, and memory. Together with the endocrine system, the nervous system is responsible for regulating and maintaining homeostasis. Now let's move on to the endocrine system.
Okay, the endocrine system is a series of glands that produce and secrete hormones that the body uses for a wide range of functions. These control many different bodily functions, including respiration, metabolism, and reproduction.
The cardiovascular system consists of the heart, blood vessels, and blood. Its primary function is to transport nutrients and oxygen-rich blood to all parts of the body and to carry deoxygenated blood back to the lungs. Now we'll talk about the urinary system.
The urinary system includes the kidneys, ureters, bladder, and urethra. This system filters your blood, moving waste and excess water. This waste becomes urine.
I hope you enjoyed learning about the human body. We will now be moving on to the immune system, starting off with white blood cells.
White blood cells are a type of blood cell that is made in the bone marrow and found in the blood and lymph tissue. Even though white blood cells only account for 1% of our blood, they are a major part of the body's immune system. They're considered warriors as they flow throughout the bloodstream to attack and destroy viruses, bacteria, and other harmful pathogens that compromise our health. There are 5 different types of white blood cells, which all have different jobs that keep our body healthy. Neutrophils are the body's first line of defense and are the most abundant type of white blood cell. Next are monocytes, which have the longest lifespan out of all white blood cells and help other white blood cells by removing dead and damaged cells. Next is lymphocytes, which create antibodies to fight against bacteria, viruses, and potentially harmful invaders. Basophils secrete chemicals such as histamine to help control the body's immune response. And lastly, eosinophils help the body's allergic response, and they also kill cancer cells and parasites. All of these various types of white blood cells are an important part of our body's immune system. But if our white blood cell count is low, meaning that our bone marrow stops making enough white blood cells to keep us healthy, this means that our body is under stress and can increase the risk of illness or infection. Now let's move on to antibodies.
Antibodies. What are antibodies? Antibodies are a protein made in response to a specific antigen. Antigens are foreign molecules that do not belong in the body. Antibodies are made by white blood cell called B cells. So what do antibodies do? Antibodies stick to that specific antigen, then directly destroy or block the antigens from infecting new cells. Antibodies also create immunity. Antibodies are also stored in your blood, remembering that specific antigen if it ever comes back. If it comes back, then your body knows how to attack much faster. Now let's move on to the complement system.
The complement system refers to a group of plasma proteins called the complement proteins, which are produced in the liver and act collectively to help destroy pathogens. Think of them like a little militia that complement the work of antibodies. There are actually 3 complement pathways: the classical pathway, which was discovered first, the alternative pathway, which was discovered second and is always at work, and the lectin binding pathway, which was found third. The complement system can also help the human body with inflammation, phagocytosis, and the creation of membrane attack complexes. Now we're moving on to discussing the lymphatic system.
So what is the lymphatic system? Well, basically it moves lymph back into your bloodstream, and lymph is a colorless white fluid. So the lymphatic system is maintaining fluid levels in your body by collecting excess fluids from your cells and tissues, and also absorbing fats and returning it to your bloodstream. So it also regulates waste products and toxic cells, so it's kind of cleaning out your body. So because it's so important, how do we keep this system healthy? Well, firstly, avoiding toxic chemicals, drinking a lot of water because this helps the lymph move smoothly through your system, and overall just having a healthy lifestyle, exercising, and maintaining a healthy diet. So how does this system work? Well, 20 liters of plasma flow through our body, and 17 of those liters are then left over. So the lymphatic bringing it back to our bloodstream. Lymphatic vessels are the part of the system that act as tubes and direct the lymph back to where it needs to go. And lymph nodes filter the lymph. And collecting ducts are where the vessels empty out and then connect to the subclavian vein, which returns the lymph to the bloodstream. Now we will be talking about the spleen.
We will now be talking about the spleen and how it contributes to the immune system. The spleen is an organ that is located in the upper left part of the abdomen. We can't feel it because it is protected by a ribcage. It is an important part of the immune system. When germs invade the blood, the spleen detects them and helps produce white blood cells called lymphocytes and antibodies to help fight the infection. It filters blood to keep the human body safe from harmful invaders. It also stores blood, gets rid of old or damaged blood cells, and maintains the levels of fluids in the human body. Diseases and other infections may affect the spleen's ability to function properly, and having a torn spleen can be fatal. That was all for the spleen. We will now be moving on to bone marrow.
Bone marrow is a soft, spongy tissue found in the center of most bones. There are 2 types of bone marrow, yellow and red. Yellow bone marrow contains stem cells that can become cartilage, fat, or bone stem cells, while red bone marrow contains blood stem cells that can develop into red blood cells, white blood cells, or platelets. Today we'll be focusing on red bone marrow and how it helps our immune system. Hematopoietic stem cells found in the red bone marrow go through a process of differentiation to become specialized cells. This is a multi-step process in which stem cells form specialized blood cells. Additionally, hematopoietic stem cells have the ability to multiply constantly, which helps maintain their numbers in the bone marrow. Keeping the number of blood stem cells in our bone marrow stable is important because they're a vital part of our immune system. They have the ability to differentiate into white blood cells, which help fight off infections and other harmful pathogens, which can compromise our health. Now let's move on to the thymus.
Okay, now we'll talk about the thymus. It's located in the front part of your chest between your lungs. The thymus is unique in that after puberty, it starts to shrink and lose its function. Its function is to produce T cells, which is a type of white blood cell that protects the body from viruses and other foreign cells. T cells work with other cells as a part of the immune system. Even though the thymus is not directly part of the immune system, it's actually part of the lymphatic and endocrine system that helps produce T cells that are important in protecting you from harmful bacteria and viruses.
Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, you can feel free to type any questions in the chat. I know we talked about a lot of information today about the human body and the immune system. So you can feel free to type them in the chat. The reason why we chose the immune system as the first session is because it's important in protecting you against bacteria and viruses. And so it kind of relates to the COVID-19 pandemic and the different variants that have formed, like the Delta variant, the Alpha and Beta variants. And so we thought that was really relevant with COVID-19, like Rowan mentioned. So you guys can continue typing messages or questions in the chat if you have them. You can also feel free to type it through a direct message if you're not comfortable sharing with everyone. But I think Ayushi will go over our social media and also our next session.
We hope you had fun learning about the human body and immune system. Here are some ways you can follow us or reach out to us on social media. There are journals published on the Weekly Med if you want to check them out.
Yeah, and I think, is this Rowan? You just put the information on the website. We recently published a lot of articles about different medical schools across the country. So you can check those out. There's guidelines about your GPA, what classes you should take, and how competitive they are, and kind of the process of applying. And then on our Instagram, we have updates about our sessions and stuff.
Thank you everyone for attending our session today. Our next session will be Sunday, September 19th at 10 a.m. We will discuss the integumentary system, nervous system, and reproductive system.
Okay, does anyone know what any of the 3 systems are, just so that we can gauge what information we might have to put in it? Okay, let's start with the integumentary system. Does anyone know what it was? I know we mentioned it a little bit, we mentioned it briefly in the slides today. You can feel free to put it in the chat. Okay, I'm getting some direct messages. Some people are saying hair. I'm also getting skin and nails. Yeah, that's right. If we go back to the slide about the integumentary system, yes, it's the biggest body system, and it consists of hair, skin, and nails. And so that protects you from the outside. And then Rowan also wants to know what you know about it. So you can feel free to put that in the chat as well. The next system we'll be going over next week is the nervous system. So does anyone know what that one is? I don't think we had a slide about it. But if you know, you can put it in the chat, and feel free to send it through a direct message as well. Okay, I'm getting some answers. Wait, we did have a slide on it, so I'll go back to see. Okay, so people put nerves and also spinal cords and like controlling processes in the body. Okay, Zachary said it's how your brain can control your movements, voluntary and involuntary. So yeah, that's correct. Here it says for the slide we said that it's the major controlling, regulatory, and communicating system in the body. And it's also the center of all mental health activity, including thought, learning, and memory. We'll actually have a session about that a little bit later in the semester. And so the nervous system works with the endocrine system to regulate and maintain homeostasis. Okay, finally, we'll be going over the reproductive system. So does anyone know what that one is? We didn't have an individual slide for it, but Rowan went over it really briefly in her slide. So you can feel free to put it in the chat. And don't be afraid to get it wrong. You can direct message us if you're afraid. Yeah, so it allows humans to reproduce. And then someone also put the birds and the bees. I think, yeah, the birds and bees and all animals reproduce. So if we go back to Rowan's slide about body systems, the reproductive system is responsible for reproduction. And there's like different reproductive organs for males and females. So that's kind of a little bit of a preview. I think you guys do know a little bit about each system. So we'll be able to talk a little bit more in depth about the systems. But that is all we had for you this week. So I also started the meeting like at 9:55. So we have like less than 8 minutes remaining. So you guys are free to go. Thank you so much for attending.